When Detective Joe Borelli yanked open the door, he found Beansy Rutolo's body propped on the base of its spine inside an ancient white Westinghouse refrigerator. His legs were squeezed up against his chest, and his hands were stuffed under his ass. His left eye was closed. The right one was half open, exposing a sliver of white. Beansy's mouth was wide open, as though he had shouted a plea for life a second before he died. A jagged bullet hole gaped above his left eyebrow. What was left of the back of his skull was glued into a mound of clotted blood against the wall of the box. Most of the rear part of Beansy's skull, along with a large chunk of his brain, was splattered across the living room. "Beansy really pissed somebody off," Detective Calvin Jones said, bending for a closer look at the body. Borelli looked around. A mound of dirty dishes cluttered the sink. The contents of the refrigerator had been thrown on the floor: a head of iceberg lettuce, soda bottles, a broken baking dish full of lasagna. Leftover peas had spilled from their Tupperware container. An unopened carton of milk had ruptured. A doorless archway connected the kitchen with the living room. "He was whacked in the living room and carried in here," Borelli told his partner, padding his way around the mess on the floor. Standing under the archway, looking back into the living room, Borelli added, "He must have been standing a little in front of that pool of blood near the sofa when they shot him. The force of the bullet toppled him backward, and when he went down, he dragged the end table and the lamp with him." Borelli looked at his partner. "Beansy didn't live here, did he?" "Nah, this is Andrea Russo's place," Jones said, brushing his palms across his gleaming black-shaved head. The refrigerator light made his skin look almost purple. Stepping back from the refrigerator, Jones scratched his heavy jaw and said to his partner, "And then the perps, had to be at least two of them, dragged him in here and stuffed him into the box." "Yeah," Borelli agreed, shifting his brown eyes toward the living room. He carefully observed the trail of blood that stained the blue shag carpet in the living room a deep brown, and continued in the kitchen, making a bizarre accent on the sunflower-patterned linoleum. "This is one messy hit. I don't think they planned on whacking him here. Beansy and the doers come here for a meet or something. They get into an argument over something, they do Beansy, then panic because they don't know what to do with the body, so they put the sucker into the icebox," Jones said, bending to examine the heel print in the blood. Borelli nodded agreement and brushed his fingers through his wavy black hair. At 36, he had the haggard look of a man juggling too many girlfriends. "The crime scene guys just pulled up," the uniformed sergeant called in from the living room door. "Let's wait outside until the lab boys get done," Borelli said, leading Jones through the front door. The two detectives stood glumly on the worn gray boards of a broad front porch that once bore the weight of rockers and gliders and was now devoid of any furniture, in a neighborhood where a footstool wouldn't last the night. They watched as the crime scene detectives slid their battered black valises out of a dark green station wagon. The patrol sergeant's radio motor patrol car was parked at the curb in front of the wagon. Leaves from a sickly-looking maple tree in front of the crime scene on Brooklyn's Rutland Road were just starting to turn as September eased closer toward the fall. Borelli stepped off the porch and lit a cigarette. The massive concrete towers of Kings County Hospital and Brooklyn State Hospital loomed in the bright morning sunlight on Clarkson Avenue a few blocks away. He turned and looked at the emergency service police officers who were stooping over and combing the weedy backyard, their eyes fixed on the ground as they searched for the murder weapon. "A made guy gets popped, and it's treated like an accident case today. A few years ago, this place would have been crawling with headquarters brass and television cameras." Borelli seemed almost wistful. "There's so many of them being off these days a one nickel-and-dime pinky ring is no big deal," Jones said, looking at the three remaining one-story frame houses on the block, with their pitched roofs and porches with peeling paint, overgrown with yellow weeds. Large parcels of weed-choked land separated each house. Old tires and the skeletons of stolen cars decorated each vacant lot. To the west, the Jackie Robinson housing projects stood on the stretch of land once ruled by Ebbets Field and the Brooklyn Dodgers. Modern apartment buildings a block away towered over the small houses. Looking east at the two-story brick Trump homes that were built in 1935 to replace many of the farmhouses,